Welcome to the Savvy Woman Show. I'm Catherine Magana, a certified financial planner professional with Savvy Woman Wealth Management. And today we're in for a real treat. We have a special guest, Sandi Star from Sandi Star Wellness, who is a holistic practitioner, nutritionist, and author. And I'm really excited about our topic. I think it's really timely. We're going to be talking about cultivating a healthy immune system. And Sandi, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background?
Okay. Well, having my own journey with some health conditions, I decided to go back to school and address those in my late 30s.
Okay.
And was able to actually heal my autoimmune. It is now not even showing up on labs, which is phenomenal. So I went back to school and started my practice in 2008. And I've been in practice ever since. So my focus is really on gut health, which is the immune system. Actually, three-quarters of it.
And it seems like right now, especially with this last year, we're seeing a lot more interest in living a healthy lifestyle, and people are taking a little more interest in their health and diet. And so I'm really, I think this is an important topic, although we're focusing on it now, but I think you probably realize this is important for all the time. I mean, this isn't just an isolated instance.
Right. Yeah, so, gut health is where I always start. Because that is our core. And when we look at functional medicine, we're looking at more preventative to avoid any chronic diseases that happen, so you don't have to get on medications. You've prevented that, right? So the gut is the first place to start, and that is 3/4 of our immune system is in our GI tract.
So let's talk a little bit about cultivating your healthy immune system. So what are kind of some of the steps that maybe people should take or go through? So maybe go with the first step.
Okay. So I would say to make sure that you have a healthy, what we call microbiota.
Okay.
It is actually your bacteria, which is what we are. We're basically a host for bacteria. And we want to make sure that we have the healthy guys in there. And that is our immune system. It is in our gut. And so having a healthy balance, a richness, diversity, having no dysbiosis imbalance, and some of the other things that happen with a bad system from chronic stress and inflammation is leaky gut. That's pretty common, actually. Just things like that can really affect us systemically.
Okay.
So when we have a strong immune system, we have a good balanced gut.
Okay. So is there another step that kind of goes along with that too?
So the step really is to make sure you have that balance. Also to make sure, honestly, you get sleep, you control stress, you make sure your diet is whole foods, usually organic, because we don't want the toxins from the foods. They're spraying Roundup, which is a neurotoxin. Funny enough, we have more neurotransmitters in our gut than we do our brain. And so that's where people get a lot of anxiety and stress, and neurological disorders actually stem from the gut in a lot of cases. And so having that balance and making sure you're putting in things that are healthy. Water's critical, right? Managing stress, I probably already said that, but I'll say it again. Especially right now, right? Balancing it with the right nutrients and the right supportive supplementation is also important as well.
So are there some resources or things that perhaps that kind of guide you to during those steps that you kind of...
Sure. So usually when I work with somebody, I always look at gut health. I will run labs also. I think labs are a great way to see what's going on. And it's part of really the functional medicine approach is that we look at gut health, even cortisol levels, which is your stress hormone. And a lot of times people will put on weight and they're not sure why. So some of those underlying triggers, those root causes, labs are really efficient in finding out really what's going on.
So it's not just addressing, it's really, like you said, looking at, okay, it's got the underlying cause.
It's that underlying current that you always want to pay attention to. And so really knowing your body, really knowing when things are off, right? We really have that innate ability to see, to feel, to know when something's wrong, and not to let it go and not really look at medicating to fix it, but look at getting to that root cause to remove it.
And so is it something that do you have an underlying thing that comes up, or is it important to look at before? I mean, obviously, if you're healthy, I mean, it doesn't hurt to even get healthier, or just make sure you're doing the right steps.
Yeah, so there are people that are asymptomatic that will have health conditions. But what happens later, even years later, it catches up to you. And so you see a lot of people getting in their 50s, for example, and all of a sudden they have all these metabolic things going on, or they're putting on weight, or their GI starts just messing up on them. It's because this doesn't happen overnight. And so all those years of abuse, if you will, or chronic inflammation, like for me, it just started hitting me in my late 30s where I had...
Which is that early? It seems pretty early then, right?
Yeah, I had migraines as a child,
okay.
and couldn't figure out why, right? So I was dealing with those for a very long time. But the problem was I was on medication for those, which messed up my GI, right, which caused other problems. And so it's kind of a domino effect. And so as long as we have that balance, movement's important, exercise is important. A diet that really fits you individually is important. And I can't stress that enough. There's a lot of people that self-medicate, if you will. They'll actually go on these fad diets. Like, let's do the ketos or the paleo or whatever that is. And it can be a problem if certain systems in their bodies aren't optimal.
Okay.
For example, somebody on a ketose diet, they're eating a lot of fat. If they've had their gallbladder removed, it's a big stressor on the body. And so really work with somebody that can help you define what that diet looks like for you. And diet means an assembly of food. It doesn't mean you want to diet to starve yourself or to do lose weight or whatever. But when you're eating optimally for your body and you're absorbing the nutrients, meaning your gut is balanced, that's optimal health.
So what's another step then for cultivating kind of a healthy immune system, would you say?
Yeah, so I always believe in probiotics, supporting the body with good bacteria to fight off. They're the first line of defense. So I have a live spore probiotic I prescribe a lot. And what the probiotics do is they're like your first line of defense. They are your army in there that fight off pathogens coming in. They actually help you digest food. So the byproducts of the good bacteria is actually what you're absorbing as nutrients. And so having that good army in there is critical.
So looking at the good supplements or finding ways, things that, really, that your body needs.
Balancing with a probiotic, really looking at any nutrient deficiencies. There's some cool labs for that. There's a micronutrient panel that's a blood test that will look at deficiencies in and outside your cells. You'll know individually exactly what nutrients you have and
so it
need.
sounds like it's a lot more in depth. It's not just, hey, I read this book and I'm going to go
so
do this diet, or it's like really
Exactly.
looking at, like I said, what is it that you need and what is it for your own body, and everyone's built a little differently. But I think that's
that's so true. It's very individualized. We have a lot of the same chemistry, of course, the same organ systems, but how they function depends on our lifestyle, big time. Depends on even genetics sometimes. And so the cool thing about the genes is that, and trust me, my family has horrible genes on both sides, and it's our lifestyle that actually dictates how they respond. So they're going to respond or react, and that's where we start seeing those diseases, is that lifestyle, meaning diet, nutrition, stress management, food, of course, and that really can make a huge difference in how that body reacts. But definitely doing nutritional support. Diet's number one. But what happens a lot is people self-medicate. And this is one area where I'm kind of passionate about, because if you go into the store, there's no FDA regulations for supplements. And so you're kind of not sure what you're getting in some cases, right? Not all cases, but in some cases. And so you really want to work with somebody to see what you really need. You don't need to take 100 different things, and you don't take them instead of a good diet, right? So it's really knowing what's going to balance and also working on a specific need at the time, right?
So it might change. So it's like it doesn't make sense for you to continue doing one path when you need something else.
Yeah. A good example would be 3 patients recently. I've ran a stool panel, which is the gut panel. And all 3 had leaky gut. One had a parasite. The other one was malabsorbing. So there was a lot going on. And you see this common thread that's happening out there is leaky gut. And so that means you have to do specific protocols to heal the gut lining, right? So no matter what you take, you're not absorbing anyway, so you're wasting your money. So you want to take L-glutamine and a good probiotic and things like that to heal. So when you start absorbing, you're absorbing the nutrients from the food, first and foremost.
So obviously supplements, diet, I mean, it seems like it's a little bit of a mix, and exercise obviously too.
Right, movement, staying active,
You talked about water and, you know.
Water is so critical. We should be drinking half our body weight in ounces a day.
I know I'm bad at that. I'm sure my husband would say
unless
yes.
you're, if you're, obese,
on
that's
that.
different. You might, flush the electrolytes out. But definitely water is critical. It actually helps with constipation, helps the stool, it helps feed the cells. I mean, we are full of water, so we need that. We can't live without water, right? So water's critical.
And then probably even sleep, having a good night rest.
Oh my gosh.
I'm one of those people, like, at a certain time I go to bed, I need my good night's rest.
And that's true, and be consistent. So you have a cycle that happens, and a lot of times when that's thrown off, your cortisol gets elevated.
Okay.
That's your stress hormone, right? So when that gets elevated, that can become chronic, can actually have people put weight on. It can not help you sleep. You can actually lose sleep because your cortisol's not where it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be high in the morning, right? And then it kind of moves down at night, it levels off so that you can sleep.
Interesting.
And so that gets thrown off a lot of people with a lot of stress. That hormone gets triggered. When it's chronic, it becomes a big problem. So sleep's critical.
Yeah. So what do you think about like time management? I know people are busy with their lives, and then
Right.
obviously fitting something like this in. I mean, what do you feel for somebody that's maybe interested in something like this, or what are some things they should consider with time management in regards to?
Sure. So really, honestly, when somebody asks me that question, it's a great question, because I even tell myself, hey, look, you got to put this on your calendar, right? Take time to go walk, take time to do whatever you need to do to be healthy, make sure you get sleep. It's really putting in your schedule, you as number one. Very important to have that time. Also time for prayer, meditation, grounding, things like that are so important for our spirits. And for us to have that grounding, because otherwise we're always,
Go.
go. So, a lot of people will say, well, I don't have time for this or that, or I don't cook, so I don't have time. Well, you just start simple, honestly. We're so spoiled. We have
Access to
Instapots
everything, I know.
and crock pots. Instapots. I cooked a whole chicken in, oh my God, no time. Maybe 30 minutes, I think it was, the whole thing. And then I made a quick soup, So it's just getting in the kitchen and making it work. People prep on a Sunday or whatever day that is. You prep and you make extra things. If you get meal delivery, which is okay, there's companies out there that do fabulous healthy meals for that too. So if somebody's really busy, they could get one or two of those delivered. There's a lot of ways that I teach people to really bring in optimal foods and really keeping it simple.
So what about maybe some other tools and resources? I know you have an app sometimes that you use, and so you kind of share some of that.
Yeah. So most people like it. It's called Well World, and it's really cool. It's free with all my patients. It's actually an app you download on your phone, and you can track. It's like a Fitbit tracker. It actually can link to that as well. But you get to track everything, including water intake, movement, exercise, food intake, how you feel. And the cool thing about that is that I can go in and kind of see how things are going in between appointments, and it also keeps us accountable when we're tracking. Or you just do a journal, whatever works. I have people doing both. But I love the app, and you can I can put in even supplementation recommendations in there. It's just a great app that they've created for us that gives you food lists, shopping lists, and everything. And there's different diets I allocate. So I'll do maybe a clean eating 28-day challenge, or a autoimmune 28-day diet plan. Or there's even ketose in there. Sometimes that is okay. So there's a lot of different ways we can look at that. There's diet plans for heart health, for weight loss.
This depends, like you said, it's very specific and individualized to each person.
Right, and then I will tie programs into that where, for example, maybe a weight loss program will have specific supplements to burn fat and to support the gut. And then there's specific foods with that. So it is
Just depends.
lots of opportunity to make it easier, if you will. Instead of the old days, I'd do spreadsheets. I'd have to write out everything. And now it's like, oh God, this is great. I love this. I love this as a practitioner, But it's been really helpful for people. And then they'll say, well, let me try a different one. or they'll continue on the same diet plan and they'll keep doing it. It doesn't stop after 28 days. We adjust as we move on.
Nice.
Yeah.
So maybe talk a little bit about mindset. What kind of mindset would you need to really go through and really follow through with these types of things?
I would say an absolute commitment to want to be better. A lot of people, unfortunately, we've been kind of, conditioned to think there's a quick fix and to think there's a pill for everything and to think that, it should be easy. It's not. It's a lifestyle change. It's daily choices, right? So, honestly, it's a commitment to want to be healthy and a commitment to give it some time. So if somebody comes to me with a chronic condition they've had for 5 years, right, or 10, it takes about a month for every year to start turning things over. So we work through those layers, and so it doesn't happen overnight. But when it happens, it's permanent. It's a permanent success, right? So you just build on that. So it's not like you're just covering symptoms. You're getting underneath and you're fixing this so that systemically things heal, right? So it makes a big difference in that functional holistic approach.
So what final thoughts do you have regarding kind of having a healthy immune system, or is there something we didn't cover that you want to share?
So I think right now, obviously with COVID and flu season, flu season is actually September through April. And so in those months, you want to kind of ramp up.
Yeah.
One of the things I always recommend is getting your vitamin D checked. Vitamin D is really important for the immune system. And what they found with COVID is those that had really bad symptoms were deficient in vitamin D, okay? And also those that had bad symptoms had metabolic conditions. So we're talking high blood pressure, obesity, right? Heart conditions, things like that. And so really working on those, working on blood sugar balance. Diabetes is getting kind of scary in our country, right? So really looking at your body, where you're at with what's going on, and really looking at taking care of those things. It's not a life sentence. It's not something we have to stick with.
I guess touching on diabetes, I've heard about it a lot recently, just people that are close to me. And so is it something that prevented it? I mean, obviously you can prevent it once you know, but if you don't get the marker, you wouldn't know. So I don't know if there's some things that maybe you can look at beforehand, before before you even go down that path. So.
Right. So what when I do labs or I have a recommendation for an annual, for example, if you're going to go do your annual, I say, okay, make sure they take not just glucose, but the A1C, which is an average blood sugar, which is more important because what you ate the day before can affect your glucose level. But the A1C is where it looks over a couple of months. And so you can really pay attention to that, and you want it below 5.6%. And so monitoring that annually, and then also looking at gut health does tie in to all of that. And then just really making sure you balance your blood sugar. We should not be eating more than 25 grams of sugar a day.
I think when you start looking at everything, you don't realize, oh my gosh.
Even in bars, like they're healthy, you're like, oh my God, that's a lot, that's my day's worth, So we just have to be aware of reducing sugar, increasing fiber, making sure we're giving our bodies what they need. I mean, I've had issues where I was swollen. I looked pregnant all the time. And so obviously something was wrong, but making sure we don't get to that point. Really just paying attention. As far as immune health, checking your D, making sure that optimally it's 50 to 70 on the lab. Most people are in the 30s.
Wow, okay.
I've seen this a lot. And so balancing your D, especially in this season. There's an immune support that I have been using and I've given to some patients. I mean, it's got like echinacea. It's got astragalus, which echinacea is really good for the immune system, and it's an adaptogen. And it's an herb, and what that means...
but is that something people, I hear about a lot, before people get sick, or is it something you should be taking perhaps all the time? Is it just
I think it's seasonal. These things I like to do seasonal, because we're in that season, and so even for myself, I will use this for several months, and then I'll go off it, especially in the summer, right? Our bodies change too with the seasons. And so this is a great product. It's got a mushroom blend in it, which is really good for the immune system. And so you're not taking 10 different things, you're taking one, zinc, vitamin C, those things are good as well during the season. Doing broth, soups, warming foods, really, really good for this season. Because our
So
body,
not just when you're sick. You should do it before, right? Like, I think that's the thing. Sometimes we turn to things when we start not feeling well, but the reality is maybe we should be doing some of these things.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And then also, if you feel run down, rest more. Drink more water, take Epsom salt baths. That actually helps. That magnesium is awesome. It pulls toxins out, relaxes your muscles, you sleep better. You can put essential oils in there. There's things you can do to really take care of our bodies during this season. It's the holidays coming up. We're in the holidays, but we also have COVID we're dealing with and stress and all these extra things. And so it's more important now to make sure we are getting that balance and extra sleep, for sure. Definitely rest.
So tell us how our audience can contact you, maybe share a little bit about your book and how we can reach you.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so so my company, Sandi Star Wellness, this is a book I released, gosh, it's been like 3 years now.
Okay.
The reason why I wrote this is called Beyond Gluten, A Healing Transition. And the reason I wrote this was because when I went gluten-free, I want to say it's been 15 years or so, all the stuff out there was horrible to begin with. It's gotten a lot better now, but there's still a lot of unhealthy gluten-free foods out there. It's a billion-dollar industry. It's huge. And so it's really, this book goes through the whole GI system, deficiencies, all the things that happen in the gut with celiac, gluten sensitivity, the autoimmune connection, right? So Hashimoto's is tied into leaky gut. And so talk a lot about that. So it really does talk about the body systems. But then I go into the transition into a healthy gluten-free diet. And I've got recipes I've converted to gluten-free, recipes I've written, and then I have some contributors in there that are really good into the gluten-free cooking. And so, yeah, so that's my book. You can reach me at sandistarwellness.com. That's SANDISTAR wellness.com. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, you name it.
Nice.
Yep, just you look my name up, you'll find me. But yeah, I also offer a free discovery call, so that somebody can have questions or they're, just want to, where do I start? What do I do? Do I need all this?
It's very individualized too, like we talked about.
Gosh,
it's not a one size fits all. So definitely
and just having that intuition, like, what makes sense right now for you is to just maybe fine tune your diet and clean it up. Or maybe, get more sleep or whatever that looks like. I'm not here to bombard somebody with too much because I really don't like that. I feel that it needs to be enough steps to be able to
take action and
implement it and actually enjoy it, have a good lifestyle. So, yeah. So, yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much. I really can see how living a healthy lifestyle, and for me, I'm doing financial planning. I want to see our clients live a long time, and I want to see people live. Because people are living longer, but I think with healthy diets and lifestyles, they even live even longer. So, thank you so much for all your insight and knowledge. You definitely are a resource and so knowledgeable. We really appreciate you being on the show today. And so every show I do like to leave with a quote.
Awesome.
So today's quote is from Roman poet Virgil, and it's, "The greatest wealth is health." So,
yes.
The greatest wealth is health. So we've come to the end of the Savvy Woman Show. I'm Catherine Magana, and just want to thank you for joining us. And remember, knowledge is power. For successful investing, never stop learning, and savvy up.
Yeah.
Yay! Thank you.
Of course, thank you.